Wow. What a fight. What a third round. What an upset. Hi guys and welcome to another episode of the Boxing Coalition. My name is Cam and joining me tonight we have Leon and Daniel Lim. Hopefully Chemo will be on a bit later on, but Leon, I've been throwing you under the bus in the last couple of shows saying that what fight have you watched? I'm pretty sure you've watched this fight, haven't you, Leon? I
have watched this fight numerous times.
I wish I had an applause button.
I'm watching it again as we speak.
Did you like it that much?
And Andy Ruiz walked his ass down in the first 7 rounds, from round 1.
Yeah, he came out with
He came out, took the centre of the ring, and AJ is like, we always know he was a bit stiff on his feet, you know, not the greatest movement, but he is horrible going backwards.
That's not his forte.
Not his forte at all. And I know people are trying to like, oh, he looked funny on the ring walk. He was chewing his mouth guard a little bit, or was it he was always had these flaws? And many of us have been saying this for a while. He got someone with a bit of movement, head movement, good hand speed, and courage, and he quit.
I do want to get into the air quotes quit, because I personally don't really think it was a quit, but we'll get into that later. I want to ask you from the start that one thing I noticed immediately, and I've never really given Ruiz credit for, and to be fair, I've only watched like his full fights, like probably 5-6 of his full fights, so I'm not like
exactly same.
I'm not an Andy Ruiz fucking expert, but one thing that impressed me was his speed of foot as well. Like, we all know that he's got fast hands, you know, we've known that for a while, but he would close down the distance so quick, just going forward without throwing anything. He's constantly making half steps forward, and then when he does throw, he always steps in with his punches, so that distance gets closed so quickly, man. And like, Josh couldn't really adjust to it, man. Like, those punches were coming in so quickly, and we know just Josh's on guard position's a bit weak when he gets buzzed, man. His hands just are like all over the place, waving about, and he just couldn't handle. Okay, the first one where he caught it on top of the temple, fair enough, but there were other flush shots where he just couldn't take the power.
No, I think, look, that big shot to the back of the head and the top of the head, like that scrambled better fighters than this guy, you know. So, you know, that is one of those unfortunate shots, isn't it? Where it hits you sweet and he was basically concussed until he got from 3 to 7, wasn't he? Like, if it was another sport, you wouldn't play, the person wouldn't be allowed to play on, would they? So, you know, but Ruiz set him up, and like you said, he closed his distance really well. I thought he did really well with that kind of like that quick double jab, and then he was like in, and also left hooks. Like, every smaller guys have landed left hooks on AJ numerous times.
Yeah, Lim, to you,
Povetkin, White landed that, hurt him with that left, didn't he? Like, I think he's obviously open to that shot.
Yeah. Lim, to you, we had a little conversation yesterday. I was just surprised why AJ was kind of jabbing to the body. Like, you got the smaller dude there. Okay, you want to maybe keep him at range, but you're so vulnerable going to the belly. Like, at least go to his chest, you know, so he can't close the distance and maybe throw a left hook at you so quickly, man. Like, what did you think of AJ's tactic going to the body, and just what did you think overall so far?
I think, like Leon just said, AJ is just so bad on his back foot, and his reaction time is so slow that when he does throw a punch where he has to extend like to his farthest point to Ruiz's stomach, he just leaves himself wide open. And I don't know if AJ was a little bit more nervous than usual, you know, because this was his first fight in the States. But I mean, I haven't seen as many AJ fights as you guys, but I can't recall too many fights where his left hand is like near his stomach. Like, I've never seen him fight in that style before. Maybe he was just trying to try something new against a guy who he overlooked. But I think you just have to give Ruiz full props. Like, he probably has one of the best jabs for that weight class. And just his lead jab to the stomach is beautiful, man. Like, the way he pumps it out there and the amount of distance that he covers when he does it is really, really amazing. And I mean, I didn't give Ruiz any shot against AJ like most people. You know, as a casual fan, I think I just overlooked his skill set and just looked at his belly. And as stupid of a comment as that is, and I think I kind of like represent the casual fan nowadays, just the amount of disrespect that he's got, even after the fight. Nobody's really giving him any kind of credit. It's more of a whole AJ's a big stiff idiot, which he is, but we also got to give Ruiz a lot of props because up until that point, I think most people consider AJ like top 1, 2, and at the worst 3. So for Ruiz to take over in the way that he did, I mean, he's the top guy at the weight class for now, at least. So I think he's going to get ups. He's a really good fighter. He's a really, really skilled heavyweight.
And I think I like this about boxing. It's like, yeah, a lot of people, we've underestimated him, but like the good thing about boxing is we're meant to now. I like the underdog. We should be like fully behind him, shouldn't we? Not still mocking him after such a good game plan and exposing this guy who's a superstar so badly. Like, I mean, he exposed him. He dominated. Yeah. I'm watching it again now. Like, he took the center of the ring for the entire fight. And AJ didn't even back him up, even after he clocked him and dropped him. And then can we say Ruiz took that shot? That was a flush shot.
Yeah,
So AJ's not that big puncher. He's that. You got to be on the ropes for him to knock you out. And he was in the middle of the ring.
The knockdown and the straight right hand.
Yeah.
He's got a great chin, man. One thing that I think we can all agree upon is as flawed as AJ is, I mean, the guy has serious power. And for Ruiz to be able to recover from both shots and still assert his game plan and come forward throughout the whole fight was really, really impressive too.
I mean, I just watched it. I just seen it again now. That's a flush shot.
Yeah,
and he's up and ready to go at 7. That's impressive, man. And you've got to give him all the credit in the world because to go and actually just fight this guy, like. People have crumbled under this pressure from him before, you're right? Dominic Breazeale, all these other guys, none of them turned up to fight. And this guy has obviously got the dog in him, isn't he?
On short notice. And what was his biggest fight leading up to this? Parker. Fighting in
Yeah.
And he's an improved fighter since then. He's a better fighter. If he would not, on that performance, he would have battered Parker.
Yeah. A quick question though, like I'm so happy for Ruiz, and I'm not coming off as a hater. I don't want to sound like I'm being a hater, but do either of you think that Ruiz is going to be one of those one fight champions where the rematch happens, AJ makes a few adjustments, and then like Ruiz never reaches that level again, or do you think it's something where he can repeat and maybe stay up in the top 5 of heavyweights for a couple of years? Lim first.
I think he can I don't think he's going to be a one-fight champion because, like Joshua, he's 29 years old, and like Leon said, he's made vast improvements in a very short amount of time. So I feel like even if he does lose against AJ, which I don't think he will, I think AJ definitely has a shot in the rematch, obviously. But I think we talked about earlier, Cam, AJ is markedly such a different fighter once he gets hurt. Like the level of the drop-off in his technique and his game plan once he gets hurt is about as drastic as any fighter that I can remember. Like his technique just goes out the window once he gets hurt. Yeah. And the thing about Ruiz is Ruiz has the gauge of AJ's power now. And we know that Ruiz can hurt him. And we know that he has faster hands and he's better at throwing punches while AJ's throwing his slow ass combinations. So I feel like in the rematch, I would favor Ruiz. And if Ruiz can hurt or buzz AJ in the same manner that he did in the third round, I think you would have to favor Ruiz from that standpoint moving forward. And like we talked about earlier, I think Ruiz's game plan and his skill set would be a problem for other fighters like Fury and Wilder, which I'm sure we'll discuss later. But just to answer your question, I don't think this is kind of like a one-trick pony by any stretch.
One-hit wonder. What do you think, Leon?
I think kind of feels... I think he gives everyone problems apart from Tyson Fury. Like, I think Fury nullifies. Fury's a much cleverer, much more tactically aware fighter than AJ. So I think he would deal with him, and the size thing would just be the problem. And we know Fury's got a great chin, but against Wilder, he's got a chance. But the other thing that's been proven is that he is definitely the biggest puncher in the division. So that's a scary thing. Like, I still think that. I said that I thought the Wilder fight was a 50-50 fight after that Klitschko fight, and people laughed at me. And I still kind of think that you got to say you're in favour of Wilder now, because if he's got that power, like AJ turns into Frank. It's too disrespectful to say Frank Bruno, but he reacts like Frank Bruno reacted when he got
Yeah,
hit. When he gets lit up, he just stiffens up.
Some car washes have like those inflatable dancer things where it's a big kind of fabric pole, and it shoots air up inside it, and it just flops about in the wind. Like that's what AJ goes into when he gets hurt, man. Like he doesn't know what to do. He doesn't shell up and just block the punches. He doesn't try and clinch. He doesn't, consider taking a knee. He just kind of stumbles around and gets hit again and goes down, man. It's a big flaw to have, especially in the heavyweight division where all the guys that you're facing can crack to a decent extent.
But look, imagine Klitschko for at his prime fighting Ruiz. For all of Klitschko's flaws, Ruiz wouldn't have got near him. Like AJ's jab was so sloppy and almost non-existent in this fight. And like you said, when he did jab, he was jabbing a lot to the body. But, he wasn't going... Klitschko's plan would have been perfect for Ruiz. Just,
that's the interesting.
That jab, you need that jab.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that. It's interesting you say that because me and Lim had a conversation on the weekend, and basically, without putting words in Lim's mouth, he said more or less the same thing. If like AJ wants to, have a decent size, length career, that if that's what he chooses, you never know. He might just, spend a few more years boxing, and bow out. If that's what he wants, fair enough. But if he wants maybe another 10 years in the game, then Lim was thinking he has to kind of adjust and just keep it long and, keep the guy on the outside. If he gets close, clinch. And I don't really want that because I hated that Vlad style, but maybe that's what Joshua has to consider doing. What do you think, Leon? Well, you kind of agreed, didn't you? Yeah.
I agree, and it's just like, it just makes me, reminds me of how good Lennox was,
Yeah.
How good Lennox was. And he learned, he adapted, but he was still had the dog in him for the fight, but he just learned not to put himself in those situations. He's a better fighter, and let's not even get into that discussion. Lennox will and always will be a better fighter than AJ, but this is his Lennox moment.
This is what Oliver
how you come back from now. Yeah. This is him going back, resetting it, having to maybe have some boring fights to get used to the style and just not putting yourself in danger. But Lennox had that power, though. Let's be,
Yeah.
Lennox had that more power than AJ, I think.
And another thing is, I don't know what Lennox's background was or Vlad's background with respect to their amateur pedigree, but I think kind of like similar to AJ, Wilder has that problem too, where once they get hurt, they don't know what to do. And I think that's a product of them both not having adequate amateur careers, even though they both won gold medals pretty amazingly. I just don't think they're natural boxers, even in the same level that Andy Ruiz is. Ruiz, even though he didn't win a medal, the guy had 105 amateur fights and he won 100 of them. So there's a difference between just being very athletically gifted, which I don't even think AJ is necessarily athletically gifted. I just think he kind of was in the right position at the right time. But more speaking towards Wilder, I think these are guys who can't adjust this late in their career. Even though we kind of harp on AJ not having that many fights, the dude is still 29 years old. And if I had to bet on it, I don't think he can even mentally make that transition into fighting more of like a Lennox Lewis or Vlad Klitschko. So I think he's fine.
I don't think he's like, without being bad. Like I think Lennox might say some stupid shit on Twitter, but he's quite a bright guy. He's a savvy guy. We know the Klitschko's are bright guys, so they could. I just don't know if it's in AJ's makeup, his DNA, to be able to study a new thing and work on a new game plan. And as this Cam, it's time for you to say it. Your favourite thing.
He hasn't got a boxing brain.
No. You're used to old school, more old school than that. What should AJ do? He needs a
new trainer.
Yeah.
Well, that's one thing. Another thing, I've got a checklist of things I want to ask all you guys. So, what did you think of McCracken's advice in the corner? And do you think he was a bit panicked and that kind of passed on to AJ? Or what do you think, Leon, for starting off with you, please?
Yeah. I watched the zone commentary, but they still had the corner work, and he did seem panicked. He did seem worried. I think he seemed worried that he knew that AJ couldn't do this, that he was in real trouble.
Yeah.
You know, it's like I don't think he knew. He had nothing to tell him because he knew that AJ couldn't do any more than he was doing.
Yeah. Lim, do you agree with Leon? And what did you think of McCracken's corner advice, if you heard it?
No, I didn't, so unfortunately I can't speak on that. But just on a very casual level, I like McCracken. I like the way he talks. I like his voice, so keep him on as a trainer. And if not, maybe, I don't know, Leon, do you think maybe instead of ditching McCracken, like, do you think a duo combo of McCracken and Froch would be a good idea?
It could be a horrendous idea.
New nose Froch.
I just think you need one of those heavy, like, you know, there's those guys who train heavyweights. And I don't know if this is the guy.
Like, maybe Golovkin's trainer now?
I don't know about it. He's a busted flush. I don't know. He just needs someone who... How many heavyweight fights has McCracken been in, like, in the corner of? The ones he's trained AJ for? Like, there is something to be said about those guys who work with heavyweights on a regular basis. Tactically, I think. Because this proves what can happen. Like it's why everyone loves heavyweights. One punch to the back of just above the ear, and you're fucked, aren't you? With these guys' powers.
In camp, I just think about the weekend, and we were talking about how heavyweights is. You have to fight differently, almost in a way. Like in this new era of heavyweights, where the guys are like 6'7", 6'8", 6'9", it might be in their best interest to fight in a Klitschko style of manner, rather than a more kind of like tactically skilled way like Ruiz, like forget your traditional combination punching and all that shit or jabs to the body. Just fight like a robot, essentially.
Yeah, exactly. I think you're right. And this, like, I'm watching round 5 now. He can hardly. That jab is like going through jelly. It's so slow.
You talk about
round 5. He's hurt, man. He's hurt so bad.
You talk about round 5, but for round 5, I just thought, Ruiz, man, don't let him off the hook, because we saw what happened against Vlad. Vlad just let the rounds go on, and AJ got his second wind and came back. But it's good at the start of the 7th. Kind of Ruiz came out fast and kind of caught him off guard. I think AJ went into the 7th thinking, "Yep, I'll just get by this round again like I've done in the other 2. Just jab to the head, jab to the body, move about a bit, and just hope the 3 minutes just go in a flash." And Ruiz didn't let him, man. Ruiz just jumped on him and landed combinations, landed that clean right hand, hurt him again, dropped him again, and we're going to probably get onto the quit. But Lim, you said you didn't.
No, but Leon's right, though. Leon's right in the sense that Joshua got concussed. The difference between the Klitschko fight and the Ruiz fight is that when Klitschko dropped, AJ was on the chin, whereas in this fight, temple shot, he was fucked. Like
that brain was rattling around.
It's a different type of. It's not even pain. It's just a different type of like effect that the punch has on your body. So
you say that I kind of disagree. You know why? Because it kind of leads into the question I was going to ask. I can't really ask it you because you didn't hear the corner work. But Leon, when in most rounds when they went to the corner, AJ was very aware of what was happening. He was asking McCracken, what shot did I get hit with? What is he going to do when I come out? Like, I actually like that he was inquisitive and he was asking for exact details of McCracken rather than guys just normally sit there and just listen to a trainer just go on with themselves. But he wanted specifics, man. And that tells me that mentally he was still in it.
Nah, he didn't know what he was talking. He was just saying anything. He looked glass-eyed, Cam, though, didn't he? He did look glass-eyed. Even when he was asking those questions. They seemed like panicked things. Like, what did he hit me with? It's almost like he didn't know what he got hit with.
Yeah, like a first day in
grade. But maybe you're right. He's asking the right questions. But that whole round 5 there, he bloodied his nose in that round, Cam. Like, Ruiz was making him work in those rounds. Like, even just because he was just walking him down.
Yeah, but bloody nose is nothing. Like, he damaged his nose against Takam, and once your nose has kind of gone a bit, like, you can get caught a bit and it starts bleeding. That's not really a big issue. No,
but it's still just proof that I think he was working Ruiz all the time.
Yeah. All right, Lim, to you. Let's talk about the stoppage. Like, what were your thoughts? And would you argue with anyone if they said it was a quit?
No, I wouldn't argue that. And for me, I know this is not the right way to assess it, but I always look at the fighter's reaction after the fact. And if you put up a fight, I think it's just natural instinct to kind of like believe that the guy didn't quit, even though that's not always true. But just AJ's kind of like this, like his whole like demeanor after the fact. I think he was pretty happy that the fight was over.
And Leon, I know what you're going to say, but say it.
Oh no,
anyway.
yeah, but I say that all a bit tongue in cheek, right? But he was happy to not be there anymore, is how I describe it. Like he put up a little. It wasn't like Groves, who was storming around the ring, kicking shit. You know, that's someone who feels they've been stopped early. He kind of went, "Ah, for fuck's sake," and then kind of just slumped against the ropes. He didn't. He was happy. Yeah.
I totally
In this harsh boxing world, everyone's saying it's a quit. So like that, you'd have to deal with it, won't he?
Yeah, but I'm saying like at this point, like at least me and Leon agree that the guy was concussed and he got up 4 times. I mean, what are we gonna say? Like, are fans saying that he's a pussy now, that he kind of like was kind of half-assing his way out of the fight? I mean, I don't know. I don't like AJ, but I'm not gonna trash on the guy to say the guy's a fucking quitter.
No, he took a beating, Cam. He did take a beating.
He did.
He might just be done. He was done. So I mean, I know people expect us just to love it, but I did. We really enjoyed it. I liked seeing the kind of bubble burst, and I think whatever we say about, I think him and Hearn have had made reputable a lot of damage to British boxing, the way they've gone about stuff, and people will say it's not AJ. Well, then he's let himself be used as a tool that Hearn used to fucking give us horrible fights.
Yeah.
On the other cards, like it all went pay per view. He changed the model.
Yeah.
He's part of that problem. So that's unfortunate.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you then, because I know you respect box. So what's your take on this whole thing?
No, I totally can see you guys and any other people and agree to say, if he quit or not. I just think that he was trying to use a tactic to get a bit of extra time, and it kind of backfired, I think. Like spitting his gum shield, like going in his corner, not really answering the ref, thinking that, maybe I'll get another 5 seconds out of this. And I think it just backfired. But like you said, Lim, I think he was happy that it kind of backfired, because then, like he could just go into it and saying, because he didn't really complain afterwards in his post fights. So that normally tells you that he was happy with the stoppage. I know he was more pushing it onto Ruiz and saying, this is Andy's day, and props to him, and it's not about me. I'll regroup. But yeah, I'd be happy to say that it was a kind of secret little hidden quit. But I also want to ask you that. Well, I know what Lim, and I know what Leon's going to say, but Lim, any other post fight, if you saw it, we all criticize Joshua for his like fake humbleness and being a bit of a company man, not really speaking his mind and shit. But I thought a lot of his post-fight interview comments and stuff was genuine, man. Like, what did you think? He genuinely looked happy for Andy, man. Like, what do you think?
Yeah, that's probably the only time where you can honestly say like, oh, this guy's humble, or this guy is showing humility. Yeah. The only time you can really kind of like prove that as a person is at its low, when you're at your lowest, and he definitely proved that. And I don't know, maybe AJ is just a robot now, where he's gone through like the Hearn PR training for so goddamn long that's the only way that he can react as a human being. But at the same time, like I don't know, I'm too much of a wussy. I don't think I have that same level of vitriol that Leon has as a human being. Where,
yeah, I think that's maybe it.
Like I'd love to shit on AJ because I think he says some of the dumbest shit I've ever heard in my life. Like leading up to this fight, like some of the things that he says on his YouTube channel is just fucking egregious. But when I see him hurt and when I see him in the ring, there's not many fighters who look as vulnerable as AJ does after they get hurt. Like he just looks like such a vulnerable fighter, and I don't know. I think it's too late in his career for him to change. Not just because of his age, but I just don't think he's meant to be a boxer. Really, I just think he got thrusted into this position, and he has enough, physical tools where he was able to get to this level. But I just don't think he's a natural fighter.
100%. That was another point I was going to make, Lim, that I kind of feel sorry for him in a way because he got fast-tracked, like he did well in the Olympics, maybe he shouldn't have got to the final because a lot of people thought he lost before that, and because it was in London, how nudge, the British guys or the home fighters always kind of get through. So he, got thrust into the limelight. He's a heavyweight, which is always a division that's glamorous. And then being with Hearn always wants his guys to get world titles very quickly, and he has, as much as, it sounds like I'm going to be kicking the dog when he's down, but we all know it anyway, like his skill set is limited. He's got where he's got by, obviously his power and very good navigation by Hearn, like fighting the right fighters at the right time, like winning your first title against, Prince Charles Martin, like that was easy work, you know what I mean? Like Andy Ruiz would fucking beat Prince Charles Martin, but Andy Ruiz didn't have Eddie Hearn, so in a way I feel sorry for him, as you said, Lim, because he doesn't seem like a guy that wants to be a boxer. He's, it fell in his lap almost, but Leon, do you agree to that? And also, what do you think?
Before Leon goes is that I think the difference between Wilder and AJ is that even though they're both very flawed fighters, to me, I see the bad intentions in Wilder, whereas I don't see that with AJ, and I feel like that's kind of like the saving grace, Wilder and AJ.
Yeah. What do you think about the point about AJ being in the limelight and being fast?
Yeah, I think his Hagler said, about the silk pajamas thing where you can't get up at 5 or silk sheets. You can't
go for a run.
Get up and run at 5 in the morning, silk sheets and stuff. And I kind of feel like he's had wealth from fight one.
Yeah,
they invested so much money, and he was making good money from fight one. And yeah, he might have had a rough upbringing or a hard upbringing, but I think even then you've got to have a hard. I think if you've come through adversity and not huge amounts of backing as a fighter when you start off, it gives you some inner grit. If that's what's potentially missing from you as a person. So if we're saying he doesn't have that killer instinct, that inner grit, his path to the top is not going to have helped him, because he says he's a warrior and stuff like that, but he doesn't sound like he's one.
That just sounds
scripted. So monotone, and he just doesn't. Yeah, he got up against Vlad, all props, but he was in a darker situation here, and he just didn't have it.
Yeah,
and I think it's soft touches, big PR, all that stuff probably hasn't helped. And I think Wilder's got that kind of chip on his shoulder about the world. And I think you sometimes need that, right?
That kind of helps.
Yeah. So you think Danny's got that chip on the shoulder about everything, and you front up to, to this day and all that stuff. He's an Aggie fucker, isn't he?
Yeah.
He likes confrontation, Wilder, where AJ doesn't seem to have that. Everyone, every now and then he'll push Miller. He pushed Miller and stuff, and he's under his skin. And it's like, you looked at it, it's like, really?
He doesn't seem bothered.
Look angry.
Yeah.
Here's a question for you, because I was talking to my mate about this earlier.
You got mates?
Yeah, I've got mates.
Oh, I thought the coalition were your only mates.
It was the postman. And he asked me a question. He goes, do you think, on this showing, Miller might have beaten him?
Nah.
Hell no.
No.
Miller's a fucking bum.
But he's I think he would have walked through a lot. I think.
Yeah, but we actually talked about that, Leon.
Miller's skill set is he doesn't have the hands. Like, Ruiz is a top fighter.
And Miller fights strictly on the inside, and the guy doesn't have power either. So, what was his last fight? He fought like an overaged Russian fighter, and he took him full 12 rounds.
But if you are Miller at home thinking didn't need to take the drugs for this shit, I would have had a shot against this guy.
Miller
he'll be gutted, won't he?
He's going to be on suicide watch, man, for letting this opportunity get away.
And that's what I love. I like it when guys come out and prove themselves and prove us and and other fans wrong. And Ruiz did it, and that's a great story, really. And watching Hearn burn was just the added bonus. It was a good fight.
Hearn was in
Ed
hell.
Hearn, he was. It must have been hot in New York, but he looked like he was. He looked seriously unwell in that Eiffel. I had a good look at Eiffel this week. Today, I mean.
You rarely look at that
sure.
YouTube page, but you were probably all over it today.
I'm all over everything. Any kind of shit. I listen to any old
Actually,
shit.
though, let's turn the table. Or your lovely other half, Ruth, is an AJ fan. Like, let us know how she felt after this fight.
Yeah, she was upset for a bit, but
and then went shopping.
Yeah, she's fucking. Isn't he?
All right, a few more questions. This one for me personally, just want to get off my chest. And again, I'm not trying to kick a dog when he's down, but I felt like the UK took a bit of a L. You know, Leon, like such a campaign. AJ's gone to conquer America. AJ invades MSG. AJ invades New York. This heavyweight from the UK, fighting this this fat Mexican dude, and then fucking get knocked out by him, man. It's like the British Isles took it L. We definitely took it L.
Look,
can I say one thing?
Go on.
For me, like I've always talked about this with Cam, I feel like the UK has been carrying boxing for the past 5 years, but by doing so, it's all of this kind of like this whole I Filmed London, MTK global hype, fucking big upping fighters all the fucking time who aren't really, at the world level.
Yeah.
I just thought it was a massive L for the country, for the UK. So
I'm not patriotic, so I couldn't give a fuck. Like, apart from football, I might get a little bit patriotic, hang out with your mates. But this, I never looked at it like this. But also, I've watched enough boxing over the years. We've always been sending our fighters over there to get fucking smashed to bits. Like, this is not a new experience for us.
Yeah, but usually,
with
the underdog, though. Usually with the underdog.
What?
Usually we've been the underdogs.
Yeah, no. And I saw Sir Joe clear up when he went to America. That's pretty sweet. Yeah, I guess it's a bit of L. Derek Chisora was very upset, wasn't he?
Derek just needs to retire anyway.
He was crying, man.
He was thinking about his payday that he just lost against AJ. That's all he was crying about.
Yeah.
Derek Chisora was that kid who flew over to Vegas to watch Canelo spark Khan in 5s.
How did you manage to squeeze Khan into a conversation about AJ? Oh, that's quite easy, isn't it? Yeah, Leon got that.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to the rematch then.
It's a Skype reference, right?
No, it's a Khan's wife reference.
I know. Skype.
They're Skype friends.
No, they're not Skype friends, man. She's deleted AJ's number now. Like, she's not bothered anymore. He got knocked out, so.
She still has. What's up?
Yeah. Let's move on
Rematch.
to rematch. Hearn, immediately in the post fight. Yep, have the rematch back in the UK. Maybe later in the year, November, December, maybe. So it's most likely in Cardiff because it's roofed stadium. But I have a big opinion about the location. Like, I think it should be back in the States, just for if Hearn wants, DAZN and his section of DAZN to succeed, because obviously Canelo's on Golden Boy's side and Golovkin's still with whoever he's still with. This fight has, caught a lot of attention. The rematch will have even more attention. And if you put the rematch in the UK, where the fight time is going to be, 10 p.m., 11 p.m., which is going to equate to 5 p.m., 6 p.m. Eastern, and then even earlier Central and on the West Coast, I don't think he's going to get the numbers. I know, why am I counting the numbers? Why do I care and all that? But just sensibly, you'd think that the fight has to be primetime USA. And I think the fact that he took the L over there, I think he should go back and get the W over there. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I mean, my dream scenario is he looks at the situation and just fucks Hearn off. Just fuck Hearn off. This is, if you want to win the fans over, not the crazy. crazy AJ fans who are fans of just him as a boxer. But if you want to win over UK boxing fans, you want to fuck Hearn off. You want to fight Ruiz in LA on his home turf to get that win. And then I'm down with that. And then he should go after the other guys. And, he's left 50 million supposedly on the table. Well, that's looking like a terrible move. And that was fucking Hearns. He should fuck him off and just go, right, I'll fight all of them in 2 years and then just get out of there. But he has to go and go to Ruiz, to his backyard in LA and fight him. There must be a big venue in LA that they can hold, get a load of people in, no? Bigger than the StubHub or something.
Yeah. What do you think? What do you think?
But you've got to go to his backyard and win it back. It's the right thing to do.
Lim?
It is the morally right thing to do, but if you're Hearn and you know better than anyone how vulnerable your fighter is, you have to give every single possible advantage to your fighter to win the rematch.
Oh, absolutely. But that's why I think you should fuck Hearn off.
Oh, you mean AJ?
Yeah, AJ doesn't need Hearn. He got him to this fucking situation on a streaming platform that the US hasn't picked up on. And, this is where, and left by Wilder and Fury, left behind. I just think, this is Hearn. He should have stood up to him. He was in control. And if he does stay on with Hearn and Sky, he should be fucking free. Next fight has to be free.
It's cheeky, innit, charging 20 quid in the middle of the night on a Saturday.
Yeah, it's fucking outrageous. It really is. But the thing is, if you're Ruiz, maybe you do go to America and go to the UK, but you want all the money. Not literally all the money, but you want enough money that you can't carry, millions and millions and millions.
So to your point, if he was to fuck Hearn off, which I don't think he'll do at the moment, do you think he would just be better off going solo or joining another big promoter like maybe Top Rank or someone?
No, I think he just goes and speaks to Uncle. If I was him, I'd speak to Uncle Al. He's the one who talks to all those big guys, and then do a couple of deals with him, fight Wilder, fight Ruiz, and then you can go and get Fury, because it looks like Fury and Wilder is getting done, so he can do it all from that position.
It's good
doesn't have to be tied to a promoter. Just say I'll fight with you guys.
It's good that
you guys know how many fights AJ had left on his contract leading up to this fight?
I'm no idea. I think he re-signed with Hearn a couple of fights ago, so I'm not sure.
I don't think he's not going to. He's never going to sign for more than 3 or 4 as he can. You wouldn't think so.
You wouldn't think so, especially at his stage right now. But we don't know.
And he hasn't signed this. We haven't seen this big Canelo-style deal with DAZN. But obviously, Canelo is going to stay with DAZN because he's getting that kind of money. We don't know what AJ is really getting.
And that actually leads to the reason why I asked that question was I was listening to an American podcast here in the States, and these guys were talking to AJ about the Canelo deal. And AJ was like, yeah, man, just like after this fight, we're going to be talking big money. So talk about losers from a financial standpoint. Like, this must be fucking just absolutely devastating for him from that standpoint.
I think he's still got a chance to make money, but he's going to have to take the short end. And that's what I want him to, no more soft fights. Just go. If you're that vulnerable, you might as well fucking go for it and fight Wilder, Fury. And even if you lose to all of them, just just go in there and do it if you really care about boxing, which I think we're all saying we're not quite sure he does.
Yeah. All right, Lim, if AJ's team give you a call, said fly over to Sheffield, we'll give you an AJ boxing T-shirt, and we want your expertise on what we should do in the rematch. Like, is there any adjustments AJ could make, in your opinion, in the rematch?
Hold on one second. I'm a little bit busy. Just give me 2 minutes. Sorry.
No, tell me though. Was that a joke that you were busy?
He's getting some street food or something.
See, I thought he was joking, and he would tell AJ's team that he was busy.
He thinks I'm raising cane chicken fingers. So just give me 2 minutes.
All right. What if they did the same to you, Leon? Like offered you some?
Well, they wouldn't. But yeah. But no, I think we've talked about it already. I think he just needs to. uses, all his natural advantages, his physical advantages, and that jab has got to be sharp, and just try and keep him as long as possible. But Ruiz does have good head movement, and he overreached a few times, didn't he, throwing punches?
Yeah.
He's got to be fucking clinical and potentially boring.
Yeah, I would just, lots of jabs, lots of 1-2s, and then mix them up with hooking off the jab, because McCracken did tell him to start hooking off the jab a bit later, and also just a right hand left hook or a left hook right hand, just so Ruiz couldn't time him, because throwing that lazy jab, especially to the body, it has no benefit. What is it really doing? It's not really keeping Ruiz away from you, so it needs to be something where it's stopping Ruiz getting in on the inside, so stiff jab to the head, followed by a big right hand. Even if it's hitting the gloves, man, he's not getting on the inside. He has to reset. You can kind of step to the side or pivot or whatever, so I don't know.
Yeah, he wasn't snapping his head back in this fight, was he? Really?
No.
With that jab, bang, bang, on a regular basis.
It just seems that Ruiz has got a really good chin, because even when he got hit with that flush left hook that dropped him in the third, man, he was composed. He was looking at the ref. He's like, right, that was a good shot. Got up and, you dropped him fucking twice. So that's the signs of a guy with a good chin and a lot of confidence.
And just who was there to fight, really there to fight. As we said, I think we've complained about AJ's resume, and we've said, oh right, fine, this is a fucking dog shit division. There's no one for him to fight. Fine. But still, people have not turned up to fight him. So he's had soft touches who have frozen under the lights. And whatever you say, Ruiz, this is still a big fight for him. It's a massive fight for him. He's in, one of the places that everyone wants to fight in America. This is his opportunity. So he just did it. So the idea that he wouldn't have gone to London and done the same thing, maybe it'd been a bit more hostile, but he wasn't going to freeze like the others did.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry about that, guys. Sorry about that interlude.
Very rude.
Apologies.
I actually thought you were joking, and that's what you would have told AJ's team. Yeah, I'm busy. I'll call you back.
I wish I was that intelligent, but
no, you
unfortunately.
weren't. But what do you think? Any adjustments for AJ in the rematch?
I mean, we kind of talked about it earlier, right?
Yeah.
We kind of see that he doesn't strike us as a guy who can make changes. So I think it's going to be a similar outcome. I don't think he's tactically smart enough to be able to make those kind of adjustments. And like you just mentioned, Cam, Ruiz has a good chin, and especially in a rematch, he's going to understand that he can take his shots. But at the same time, the one thing that I will never doubt AJ on is his power. So
yeah.
If AJ happened to spark Ruiz out in 2 rounds, I wouldn't be shocked either. Yeah. But I think Ruiz is. I just think he's a little bit too quick, and I just think he has a better boxing brain. So, I especially in that 3rd round, what you notice is that Ruiz's hand speed, especially kind of at mid distance, he's just a better puncher. He has better technique, and I think nine times out of 10, if they're both trading in that short of a distance, that Ruiz is going to hurt him.
That's a good point. But
I think Ruiz is. Yeah, I think he should be favored, man. And with regards to the location and the rematch and whatnot, I'm more curious as to what Ruiz is going to get paid. Is there any room for negotiation at all in terms of rematches when it's kind of set in the contract to begin with, or is kind of Ruiz does he have to abide by whatever's been negotiated up front?
You can't. If he's with Heyman, is an advisor, you can't see them doing that bad a deal. And also, they'll find a way out if they try and shortball them. They go, we've still got all the fucking belts, sue us, and we'll just carry on fighting.
I
don't mind if a few of the belts get dissipated, spread around a bit. Doesn't bother me.
What would happen in that situation if he just decided to renege on the deal? Would the belts go back to AJ?
It depends on the sanctioning bodies. No, they'd become vacant. But it depends if the sanctioning bodies were willing to, make that kind of decision against someone like Al Heyman, who has all the fighters and his fighters have got their belts. So I think Ruiz is in quite a nice position at the moment.
Fair point, but at the same time, AJ's obviously the biggest star, right?
Oh,
So
of
you
course,
kind
of course. But
very-
if they go for big money, we'll come to your hometown, give big money, or AJ should go, fuck it, I'll come to you in LA, and don't give a fuck about the money. Let's just get this fight on. But that's not gonna happen, is it?
No. It'd be awesome though.
It'd be great.
Like,
I think people would love him.
Yeah, I give him so much props for that.
Yeah.
Go out on your fucking
But
shield.
we're not in the ring taking the punches down, are we? So our opinion does not count.
Yeah.
You know what's interesting though? Like, I agree with a lot of your points, but I could just see the rematch just going where AJ just blitzes him in 3 rounds, and then this loss to Ruiz would just be like a little a blip on AJ's resume.
I don't think it would be a blip, Cam. Like I could see that happening.
A big blip.
I think this fight showed so much of AJ's deficiencies that I don't think it's a blip.
The reason why I say that is because, like, even though obviously he lost and he got dropped 4 times, there's still a few positives to take away. He did land on Ruiz, even though Ruiz took it. He did drop him. He got a bit reckless and then got dropped himself. But there are, even on the back foot, like, he's no slick fighter, but like, there was a few times where AJ was landing like decent jabs and decent counter right hands against Ruiz. So it's not like it was just a really, really one-sided fight, which it could look like to most people with like 4 knockdowns. But I think there's definitely positives that AJ's team can take away from the fight.
Yeah, his new trainer will do a good job.
Yeah.
Jonathan Banks.
I have to shoot in about 5-10 minutes, Cam. So just quickly, I just wanted to say, like, Hearn Matchroom Stable. I mean, that is a fucking sack of shit now, isn't it?
Well, we've kind of covered AJ. If there's not anything else, do you just want to quickly 5-10 minutes on 2 undercard fights?
Yeah. I haven't watched Katie Taylor, but I have watched the big fight of the night, the Avocado versus Boom Boom. And I watched Josh Kelly.
How do you watch fucking Boom Boom versus Avocado and not watch, Undisputed Female?
Because they're my boys.
They're your boys.
I fuck with the Avocado and Boom Boom.
I don't know. It wasn't a great fight, was it really, man?
Team Avocado beat the shit out of him. If Chris Algieri is lighting you up, you are poor. He's a courageous motherfucker, though, isn't he? To be fair to him, he's shit, but he'll go to war.
Yeah, like, and even was it the first or the second where he kind of clipped Algieri a few times and like buzzed him a bit? I was shocked. I was like, what the fuck?
But he looked like a little guy though, didn't he, in that fight?
Yeah, like,
he's way up. But what do you? Go on.
Algieri's a big 140-pounder, and Coyle started at lightweight, and he's not a big at 40. But what were you gonna say?
What do you make of Josh Kelly then?
Josh Kelly, for me, like, I see glimpses of brilliance, but it's like few and far between. Like, I counted him in one round, right, for about 90 to 100 seconds. Leon, all he did was feint. It's like you don't win a fight by feinting. Like, as much as you can counter guys pretty well, you need to be a bit more offensive at times, mix it up with it, lead a bit more, and then when the guy tries to counter him. You can't just always wait for counters, man.
Yeah. I've got a feeling, like, really, he's shit. Like, he's really shit. Like, he might be athletically kind of gifted and to do all that jerk, but I just don't think he's very good at boxing. For all that stuff, Cam. I think it's all kind of weird reflexes. Technically, he's not very good. My problem with that, I can't stand that kind of style unless you've got devastating power. Because you can muck around like that all you like if you got a touch of death. Like Naz. I love Naz because he had that crazy power. But this guy I can't stand it, Cam.
No, I totally see where you're coming from.
And it's just like, you're showboating against this guy here. Like, what are you trying to prove?
Well, like, to be fair to Ray Robinson, he's not a bad fighter, but like, yeah. Kelly was showboating against the guy that he fought in his last outing. Trying to find the guy's name, and he was pretty shit. And it's like, if you're showboating against a shit guy, then you're not disrespecting him, you're disrespecting yourself.
Exactly. The other thing is, like, there are one-off characters like Naz and those people like that, but their whole fighting style is encapsulated in their character of who they are. as a person. I don't get this from him. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You don't get this kind of, right, there's something different about him. I really don't.
Hearn's in problems in the UK because apart from like the odd big name, he's got no one really propping up cards. I know they tried to put him and Ritson in Newcastle again, and that was a bit of a failure when Ritson lost. And Hearn always tries to like bring Buxton back to odd city, you know what I mean? And it is backfiring. Like Cheeseman looked like shit when he lost. So many matchroom fighters taking L. Fitzgerald versus Fowler. You know, Fowler took the L. It's crazy, man.
But you got to say, British boxing. You look at British boxing now, that because it's been booming for years, right, Cam? Like years and years, booming. I don't think we've got how many world class fighters do you think we've got coming out of UK now, and including Ireland?
World class.
Yeah, proper, real potential.
I'd probably say like you count them on maybe two hands.
Maybe two hands, yeah. Yeah, it's been built on sand, this shit. You know, but they've built pay-per-view fucking castles on fucking shit and sand, and it's all going to fall into the fucking sea. Yeah. And I can't fucking wait.
Anything else before you want to go, Leon?
No, that's it, man. Chemo's a fucking bum. Where is he?
He's got kidnapped.
I'll leave you at that.
All right, Leon, thanks for jumping on.
Yeah, good to speak to you both, man. See you soon.
Likewise, see you soon. Thanks.
Same.
See you, man.
Take care.
Limmy, did you watch any of the undercard fights?
I saw the Katie Taylor fight.
Oh, it's good, that, because I wanted to discuss that with Chemo, and he didn't come on, so we've kind of had a discussion, because you asked my opinion on it yesterday, and I give it, but what was your view on the fight?
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I thought a lot of it, I thought leading up to watching the fight that the criticism for Katie Taylor would have been overblown, but she just wasn't active. I mean, you can tell that obviously she's just like so much more skilled than the other fighter, but there was just no activity level. And I like kind of going back to the AJ thing, like I don't know if it's like a change in venue. I don't know if she's fought in the States before, but maybe it was some of the nervous energy, you know, co-headlining like a card at Madison Square Garden, but she just didn't have the activity level, man. Like, it was fucking crazy. And then props to the other girl, man. I don't know how she makes that weight class, but she was like, this was at least the first fight that I can remember where she was just like physically just much larger than Taylor. And even at that weight class, for all the props that we give to Taylor with respect to her power, just didn't seem like it was really phasing the other fighter all that much.
Yeah, Delphine Pursuit was massive, but I kind of disagree about activity. Yeah. I think Taylor's main problem was just not sticking to a coach's game plan. Like, he was telling her to kind of like be smart, box and move, don't get caught up in these exchanges. And like I said to you yesterday, I think Katie just wanted to show her balls, man. Like, you know, wanted to show her machismo and just like not get pushed back, because she's so used to just bullying these girls, man, just like winning fights by stoppage or like 10-0 where the other girls barely even landed a punch, and Katie just landed like 3-5 punch combinations, you know, every time she decides to throw. And I think because this girl could take her punches, she just felt like, oh, this is not going well for me. And I'm mixed, because I saw a lot of comments on Twitter where people thought it was a draw, but most people thought Katie lost it, and I can see that. Like, I had it a draw personally, but I couldn't give another round to Katie to have her winning. But I could give another round to Pursuit for her to have her to win. So I'm totally fine with that type of criticism. I just think, you know, just not sticking to her game plan, man. Like the round, I'm trying to think. I wrote it down on my phone. I think it was the 6 where she decided to be a matador, and you know, she's just doing like the lean back pivot and then countering with the left hook and spinning off, and she was just making Pursuit look basic and just like a caveman type of style. And the next round, she just completely goes back to what she was doing before and tries to trade with her on the inside. And people were giving Pursuit a lot of credit for like landing, but I saw a lot of missed punches from Pursuit, and like Katie would land 3, but you know, kind of, I don't want to say feather fisted, but they were bouncing off Pursuit like they were nothing. And then Pursuit would land 1. And because, you know, Katie's balance was a bit off, it looked like her 1 had more of effect than Katie's 3. And I think that kind of persuaded people's opinion. But I'm freely to admit that I'm a bit of a Katie fanboy, so like my judgment may be clouded. I try to keep impartial when it's people that I enjoy, like Katie and Loma and stuff. But I just thought Persoon didn't land that much. Yeah, she was coming forward. It wasn't always effective, but I had a draw. I think she definitely 100% deserves a rematch. I saw a boxing scene thread where Katie asked Hearn for his honest opinion. Hearn said he had it a draw, and she said she wants the immediate rematch. Yeah, sorry, I have to sneeze then, so I just muted myself. And that's about it, Lim. I am gonna, say this very carefully because I don't really want to say it, but I have to agree with Tony Bellew a bit because in the post-fight, he was on the Sky box office kind of panel when they discuss it off when the fights are not happening, and he said that because we're so used to kind of Katie winning like 10-0 and 9-1 and stuff like that, 8-2 or by stoppage, that the first time she was in actual fight, like people thought she lost it, which can play on your mind because when you're so used to seeing someone win easily, if they go through a bit of hard times, you just think that like they're in a war or they've kind of hit their limit. So I think it's the first time I've ever agreed with Tony Bellew, so that's a bit of an L for me. But let's keep it moving. You want to add anything, Lim, or should we call it a night because Kimo Puto decided not to turn up?
No, I think those are the only two fights that I actually watched, unfortunately.
You saw the fight too?
Yeah, I saw the fight too.
Let's just talk a bit about, like, we've discussed it between ourselves, just for the listeners, man. Like, if AJ and Wilder was to happen soon, because stuff like this, upsets like this, actually can put a fire up someone, stick up their bum in a way, and they want to now prove themselves now. So, say AJ fights Ruiz again, gets the win. Does this big hiccup actually lend to fights like Fury and Wilder happening, in your opinion?
Man, that's a great question. And if I'm completely honest, I have no idea how to respond to that question, just because I feel like so much of it is conditional based on AJ's performance against Ruiz. So, like, let's say like AJ wins like a 12-round, boring kind of grab and hold type of snooze fest, and I think it would probably belabor the negotiations. But like, let's say AJ knocks him out in like a couple of rounds, and I could totally see after the Fury Wilder match in February, like I can see that fight being made immediately. But honestly, man, I have no idea. Like, what's your take on that situation?
I think a bit of like embarrassment always helps for like other fights getting made now. Like AJ was sitting on top of the mountain, no care in the world, and now he slid down pretty far. And Wilder was shitting on him. Fury was actually quite nice to him and said, we've had our words and that, but you'll come back, which was quite surprising. But we know Fury is a bit bipolar. But I think it'll kind of spark him into action and try maybe harder or be more able to negotiate fees or purses where he might take a little smaller money to get the Wilder fight made to kind of prove his point. But going to the Wilder fight, I told you on the weekend, Lim, that if he fights Wilder, man, like if Wilder lands on that chin, I actually think he can knock him like clean out, like where he's out unconscious, because he goes a bit jelly-legged when he gets hit on the temple, but Wilder's got that crazy power, man. I think if they were to fight, he ices him, man. You agree?
Yeah, I would favor that. But at the same time, again, just because it's heavyweights, like I think it's still kind of like a 60-40 fight. Like I would always favor Wilder slightly, just because I feel like his ridiculous style is actually kind of beneficial against a guy like AJ, who's so like methodical and just so slow. But at the same time, I think AJ is actually a pretty decent fighter in the early stages of a fight when like everything is just It's like perfect for him, when he doesn't have to face adversity, when he's not hit by anything big. But obviously with Wilder, that kind of shot can land at any time, just because I don't think he even knows what he's throwing half the time because he's so technically flawed. But yeah, I agree with you just in terms of like the effects of a Wilder punch on AJ's chin. Like Wilder just throws such crazy looping punches that if he catches AJ clean on the chin, like I could see him leaving out on a stretcher.
Yeah. You mentioned, just to kind of stretch the show out a bit longer, because I think the people in the Mixler chat are hungry for more boxing talk. You mentioned AJ Ortiz and then Fury and stuff. Like, what's your opinion on the Ortiz rematch, firstly, and then within a week of, it might be 2 weeks, but I think it was a week, of announcing a rematch that's on pay-per-view against a fight against a fighter most people don't really want you to fight happening, and then a week later you're already announcing that papers have been signed for you to fight Fury after the Ortiz fight. Like, one, that just is incredibly stupid for me, and two, it's embarrassing, man, because like, if you're available to fight Ortiz, then you're available to fight Fury. It's like, why? They're just milking as much time as possible to make more money, and they say it's marination and blah blah blah. I know that he's fought Fury anyway, but they're just milking the game, and we're just the fucking stupid people, that they're pulling along with. What do you think, then?
I mean, I've talked shit on boxing for so goddamn long, and this is the reason why. Like, these fighters are so fucking petty. It's ridiculous. Like, as much respect as I have for boxers, which I do, just based on the fact that I haven't really shat on AJ's, because I think boxing is the hardest sport in the world. For all that respect that I have for them, like, outside the ring, these guys just act like fucking idiots. Like, it's like a combination of idiocy. Part of it is or part of it is just being, megalomaniacs. Part of it is just being, I don't know what it is. It's probably their managers and advisors telling them one thing. But just going back to the whole Deontay and how he responded to AJ's loss, you could tell like he was happy that like he lost because it somehow proved that he was a better fighter than AJ. When in reality, you should be kicking yourself in the fucking head because you're losing out on your biggest payday, most likely. I mean, it all depends obviously on how AJ does in a rematch, but you probably lost out on a $50 million venture because you were too much of a fucking egomaniac. And these guys, like, they like, in this day and age, like, boxers like to one up each other by going about their business in the way that like Wilder did in announcing his fight against Ortiz, which is a fucking absurd fight. I mean, let alone a fight that is on Showtime, but for it to be on pay-per-view is absolutely absurd. I hope that fight does zero fucking buys. Like, nobody should fucking buy that fight. I mean, granted, the first Ortiz fight was pretty decent, but where Wilder is at right now in his career and where Ortiz is at, considering his age, it's a fight that makes no fucking sense at all. And for it to be on pay-per-view is absolutely laughable. It's like, why would Steven Espinoza even green like that? I don't understand. It doesn't make any sense to me.
Ridiculous. The only thing you can think is like they're slowly just gonna do what Sky have done with AJ, and every fight's gonna be pay-per-view. Like, I don't think they could justify Dominic Brazil as pay-per-view, but this fight against Ortiz pay-per-view, Fury rematch pay-per-view, and then any bum after that pay-per-view, because you're just used to it now. You're just used to shelling out money, and it's so. I feel so bad for the boxing fans in the States, that don't like streaming because streams cut out and want to watch the fight live. That you're paying like ridiculous money to watch this shit, and like we can't even complain in the UK, and we still do, to pay £20, and you guys have to like pay $70, $80, $90. Ridiculous.
Yeah, and I'm definitely not one of those people. But you should take a stand. Like, if you are one of those people who consider buying pay-per-views, no, this fight should do less buys than the Crawford Postal fight, because this is fucking ridiculous, man. You're just feeding into these guys' egos.
Yeah.
At this point, and it's Yeah, it's just bullshit because like you want to shit on AJ to some extent and Hearn and Matchroom for all the bullshit, but like at this point in boxing, everyone is so corrupt and everyone is just so I don't know what the right word is, but everyone is just so kind of like unreasonable in the way they carry out their business. Like you don't know who to point the finger at. So it's just this fucking headache and I hope you're right, Cam. Like I hope like the fact that AJ did suffer a loss over the weekend actually makes negotiations easier, but I could also see it, flipping the other way and making things actually more difficult. And Tyson and Deontay kind of like going about their own business in a way to kind of like shut AJ out of the situation because like they're somehow, feel like they're superior over him, even though AJ is by far still the biggest name in that division, like without a doubt.
We shall see, man. We shall see. Lim, anything else you want to talk about before we step?
No, I'm good. I mean, it was a good show. Like, I'm just shocked again. And then I can't recall watching a fight live in my lifetime of anything close to this in terms of just the upset level.
Yeah, same.
And that's why I love this sport, man. Like, I love boxing so much because it has nothing to do with aesthetics and physical appearance. And that's why it amazes me that critics of the sport, especially casual critics like Stephen A. Smith, who's a big American, just another egomaniac, another kind of like megalomaniac TV personality here in the States. I don't know what the equivalent of him is in the UK, but he's a sports commentator who doesn't know jack shit about any sport, but he gets paid a fuck ton of money because his job is to act like a dumbass. He's always the guy who you see at the bar who's the loudest spoken person, but has nothing of substance to say. And it's people like that who criticize Ruiz, even after seeing Ruiz's skill set and seeing how good of a fighter is, and still just belaboring the point about his belly fat and his overweight appearance, which I make fun of, and I did make fun of, but at the same time I can still separate that with the talented fighter that he is. And just people still don't seem to really get that, man. And that's what makes the sport so unique, is that, even though me and you and Leon and everyone who listens to this podcast, we may not know boxing as much as obviously people who actually, fought professionally, but we still know more than most. And the fact that we can enjoy that and satisfy that and give respect where it's due is a beautiful thing. And I'm so happy for Ruiz. I just love watching fighters like him succeed and make something out of their lives. And, that statement he made after the fact about his mom and his parents, not having to worry and not having to struggle in life anymore, man. That's really beautiful shit, dude. And I'm just so happy for the guy. I hope he makes a fuck ton of money in the rematch. And I mean, he made history, man. He's the first Mexican heavyweight champion, and rightfully so. As much as you want to talk shit about AJ and talk shit about the division right now, he beat the number one guy in the sport.
Yeah.
Or in the division. So props to him.
Yeah, man, that's in the history books now. No one can take that away from him.
I love that too. And then, my boy, I gotta throw in Canelo anytime that I can, but it was really awesome to see Canelo defend Ruiz on Twitter as well. I'm like, just, talking shit against people like Stephen A. Smith and other critics. Like, you never, you guys don't know shit about the sport, man. And for him, for like the fellow Mexicans to stand up for one another is pretty cool too.
Yeah, well said, Lim. Well said. Well, thank you for jumping on. Also, thanks to Leon. And fuck you, Kimo Puto, for going AWOL. Thank you to all the people in the Mixler chat and all the people that download the show. We'll probably be back maybe at the end of this month or early July, depending on if the boxing gods give us some decent fights or not. Unfortunately, the schedule for the next month is pretty terrible, but we shall see. Peace.
You just listened to the Boxing Coalition.
I did. Man, I love boxing. I fucking love boxing.
A big shout out to the Boxing Coalition.
You're a newbie.
No, I ain't new, man.
If my fucking next door neighbour became the number one flyweight in the world, you know what I'd do? I'd fucking walk past the cunt.
Derek, how you doing, bro?
I was physically banging.
blood.
I disagree.
First time I hear the show, man, it was fucking badass.
Vamos Argentina, la concha de su madre.
I see the bomb in them.
I get home and she's like, what the fuck? Me and the kid are here. Why don't you get home and talk to us? I'm like, man, you guys don't know shit about boxing.
Kel, how does it feel to be the new IBF champion?
Feels great. Did we really dive into the black hole right off the jump?
I think he's hiding glass.
Just to play devil's advocate.
You want 1 portion of crow or 2 portions of crow?
Give me 2 portions with a supersized fries and a large drink, please.
I can't stand him, what? I'm Scottish.
Cringe side?
But you won't crush Anthony fucking fat ass Joshua, would you?
He's not fat.
How about you tell us what you weigh for your final thoughts?
My weight?
Thank you for listening to the Boxing Coalition.